Hey York! Welcome to our International Student Podcast, where our international students share their stories and experiences of life in the UK. I'm Naveen, a fourth year biology student from India, specializing in genetics, and your host for today. We'll be sharing our stories with you about exploring the UK and beyond, telling you how we've made the most of living in a new country, for some of us, a whole new continent. Today, I'm joined by Carlotta and Pranesh. So, why don't you all introduce yourselves for our audiences?
Hi, I'm Carlotta. I'm a third year PPE student and I'm Italian, but I live in France.
Hey guys, I'm Pranesh. I'm currently doing my master's in engineering management. I'm from India, Bangalore, and thanks for the invite actually. Looking forward to it.
For me personally, one of the best things about studying abroad is the opportunities it gives for us to travel to new places. I myself have had many adventures exploring Yorkshire and the surrounding areas, and like many international students, I don't have a car. and in the I don't have a car in the UK. And I know a lot of people, for a lot of people, especially Americans out there, you might be very anxious about how you're going to get around. So let's start with that question. How easy have you found it to travel around the UK from York? Carlotta?
I have found it really easy. I have just gotten a bag, which has made it a lot easier. But in general, I think, like, especially compared to other universities, York is so well connected. Like, last year, I went to London for a conference at Microsoft, and I was able to, like, go in the morning and come back in the evening. And I was talking to some people that were at uni in the south that took like 8 hours to get to London. So it's really, really easy.
What about you, Pranesh?
Yeah, it's pretty well connected. Actually, I'm in love with the bus services. As we know, there's an app called the First York, which gives the actual time of when the bus is going to arrive and move. So it's easier to plan it around. And the train services are really great. It's like you can reach London and back in like 1.5 hours, 2 hours max. So you can finish a whole 1 day trip.
To be honest, like York is incredibly central in its location. You can reach almost every major city from York. It's a hub for transportation. And even though, like you said, Carlotta, you might be in the south and physically closer to London,
Yeah,
but it might take you
exactly.
much longer to reach London because of different train connection routes you might have compared to York. So that's one of the greatest strengths of York. For me, it was a big surprise personally. I come from India. Train transportations, it takes a long time because of the massive sheer size of my country. So has this surprised you, like being able to travel almost anywhere very conveniently?
Well, I think coming from Paris, I'm pretty well connected to the rest of the world, but I did not expect for York to be, especially because it's in the countryside, in the north of England, but it's so well connected. Like, you can get pretty much to anywhere by getting a train to Manchester Airport and then getting a plane, or by getting a train to London and then like crossing the street and going to Paris or going to Amsterdam by train, which is really crazy.
And like Naveen mentioned, I'm also from India. So where it takes like 24 hours to travel merely 1,000 kilometers. And here it's like you can complete it in no time. And the train services are pretty great here. You can move from here to Liverpool in like say 45 minutes. So that's great.
Yeah, for me, like I used to never rely on trains. I was always a plane kind of guy. You want to travel to the nearest town, you take the plane to the next state. So it's really really nice that you can travel by land. All right, and so I'm sure you guys have had quite a lot of time in the UK. So whereabouts in the UK have you visited since living in York? Let's start with you, Pranesh.
Yeah, so since 6 months, I've been visiting like Scarborough, then Whitby. So those are the places that you can visit first. And there's a direct bus, which is just like £2. So those places like give you the beach vibes, and the better time to visit is during summer. And other than that, major cities like London, Manchester, Liverpool, things like that.
And what about you, Carlotta?
So I have been to as well. I've been to Scarborough and the Yorkshire Moors, but I went by car, and Whitby, and then I went to London and Edinburgh by train.
Perfect. And all right, I have a short little checklist of questions that I want to ask you. All right. So, which is the favorite place out of all the places that y'all have visited? Which is the favorite place that y'all have been to?
I think mine is definitely London. I think it's such a like a dynamic city. You have so many things to do. It's so big. It's so bright, and it really made me want to move there. Actually.
Oh wow.
Mine, hands down, is Edinburgh.
Yeah.
because of the buildings and
I'm
how
on
the city
Pranesh's
is.
side over
Yeah.
here.
It's really good.
All right, and okay, so we have a favorite places. What was the most memorable adventure you'll have had? Like something that you can never forget for the rest of your life.
So when I went to Whitby, I went with my mom because she came to see me, and we went at the end of October, and so we just went. We thought, oh, we're gonna have this like nice, cute weekend. But what we didn't know is that on the weekend of Halloween, British people go to Whitby and
Oh, did you
dress
see the
up.
Gothic festival?
Yeah, they dress up as like vampires and stuff, and we didn't know that. So we got there and we were like, "What is happening?" It was so full, but it was really really funny, and I really liked just seeing Whitby because I had read Dracula before, and it was
And
so
well, Dracula
impressive.
is set in Whitby.
Yeah, exactly. It was impressive to see like the chapel that inspired it, and it looked exactly like I imagined. But then like also seeing all of these like 80-year-olds in costume was out of the ordinary.
No, Whitby is genuinely a really magical place. In fact, the whole Scarborough coastal side stretch, Scarborough, Robin Hood's Bay, Whitby, and all the other villages which are there, which are all just one bus route away, by the way. There's the Coastliner service, which connects all of these different places
Yeah.
together, which I would highly recommend our listeners to try out. You have to try that place out. It's beautiful, it's scenic, and it gives some of the most beautiful vibes. All right, and what about you, Pranesh?
Mine's like a memorable and funny story.
Okay,
It's
go
to
for it.
Scarborough. So we planned it over, and our return was not exactly planned. So first bus York, it showed the return through the coastliner by like 5 o'clock, but we were there at the bus stop at 5:30 ish around. And then we were like, we missed the bus. We checked the trains and the prices were off the roof. We were like, probably we have to stay on roads or walk back to York. And correctly at that time, like say 20 minutes after that, the bus arrived. We were like, yeah, thank God we saved.
So, to our listeners out there, if you could recommend the 3 best day trips to York, where would they be from?
So I think first of all it should be Edinburgh because it's really close. It's a direct train ride, and you get to the center of the city. It's really beautiful. It's everything like I think any international student believes that England looks like. Then the second would be definitely London, and the third would be the Yorkshire Moors. It's so beautiful. It's so calming. There are these little towns in the middle of England that, again, like they look out of a fairy tale. But I think you have to get there by car. So
Make friends with people who have a car.
yeah, exactly. But it's really really beautiful, and again it's so peaceful and relaxing.
Well, to add to that, if people don't find anyone with a car, there's also a bus which travels to the Yorkshire Moors. There's like a nice there's a tour trip which goes to the Yorkshire Moors, which leaves. I'm not sure if it's in the summer or the winter, if there's any specific seasonal time for that, but there's like a nice little tour which takes you all towards the hamlets through the moors and
I
stuff like
didn't know.
that. So you can always check that out if you don't have a car. What about you, Pranesh?
Mine, the first one would be Whitby and Scarborough, since it's just a bus travel and it's a perfect beach visit, I would say, during the summers especially.
Definitely during the
Yeah.
summers.
Definitely. We went during the wrong time, so that's why I'm preferring the summers. And the next one would be if you're someone who likes shopping or something, probably go to Manchester and try out good food. And the third would be London.
To add to the whole Whitby thing, I would also add Robin Hood's Bay. It's a little village which is in between Whitby and Scarborough. Same bus trip. Stop over there. It's beautiful. It has a nice little history of back in the good old days, smugglers used to try to smuggle goods over there. My day trip is going to be a bit more local, right? We're talking about Edinburgh. We're talking about Whitby. We're talking about London. But let's look a bit local. So I would try. I would try the Yorkshire trip. Okay, so I would go to Knaresborough. It's just 25 minutes away. It's very close to York. It's incredibly scenic. You can see everything you need to in a day's time. They have something called the Mother Shipton's Cave, which is a little cave where Mother Shipton, who was a psychic, was born back in the good old days. There's a nice little bridge over there. We also have Harrogate, which is a beautiful town. Same train line as well. And then you can get back on the train after you reach Harrogate and go to Leeds, and that's more of a commercial side. So if you want a bit more of a city experience
And clubbing.
and clubbing, yes, and clubbing, great nightlife in Leeds, you can go on that route. So 3 lovely places to see right next to York. So you have no excuse to not go there. All right. Have you explored anywhere outside of the UK since you've traveled to York? What about you, Carlotta?
Well, So I come from Europe, so I had already explored a bit of Europe before, but the travels that I have done from New York to Europe have been back home to Paris, then to Turin in Italy, and then to Berlin in Germany this year.
And have you traveled to Europe
Oh,
as
I've
much?
really not had any first-hand experiences, but there are a few of my friends who've traveled to France and they've shared their experiences. So it's pretty good actually. And I look forward to traveling probably 2 months from now or something.
Where
Yeah.
do you want to go?
Or France itself.
Carlotta could show you around.
Yeah,
She's a
exactly.
local,
If you're
you know.
there. Yep.
I'll
I-
send you some addresses.
I found myself traveling to Norway actually last summer.
Ooh.
Beautiful place, very nice to go there. Go in summer, please don't go in winter, unless you like skiing and that sort of thing. I'm more of a warm-blooded person, but it's a very beautiful, scenic place. Quite easy to get from the UK. Okie dokie. And this is going to be our last question for today. Our audience would love some tips on how to travel about and explore the UK. So, what are your top 3 tips that you would give people who are looking to explore the UK?
I think my top 3 tips would be 1, get a Railcard membership, because whether you're an undergraduate and you want to get it for 3 years, or if you're here just for 1 year, you can get it for 1, but it's going to make traveling so much cheaper. And you probably are going to get trains. You might get them to get to the airport or to go back home if you're from the UK, or even to go to Leeds for a night out, and it's going to make it so much cheaper. The second would be definitely to travel light, because you might have to change trains, or if you find difficulties, it's always easier to travel light. And then the third would probably be to charge your phone, because you
Yes,
never know what
definitely.
happens.
Yeah, carry a backup or something.
Yeah, exactly. You never know what might happen, and you need a charged phone.
Also, please carry your phone charger. A lot of trains, especially the main ones,
Yeah.
will have charging ports on board, so you can always charge your phone. Carry either the USB cable or the actual thing itself. What about you, Pradesh? Any top
So
tips?
first tip is carry a lot of snacks because you're going to feel hungry by default. And second would be plan your way out and make sure you plan your return rather than planning on reaching there. That's a good tip. And third would be like take a lot of photos because at the end of the day, memories is what it makes.
Well, I was going to
Aw.
say enjoy the moment, but okay. You can take a lot of
Yep.
photos as well. And with that, we have reached the end of this podcast episode. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed it as
Yes,
well.
I did. Thank you.
Thank you everybody for listening. I hope we have helped you to add some UK destinations to your wish list, and we can't wait to see where you explore in the future. And with that, we hope you have a lovely day.
Thank
Goodbye.
you. Bye.
Thank you guys.